Ladies and gentlemen, we did it. Not sure if there are any ladies on here. I'm pretty sure from the demographics it's pretty much all gentlemen. But gentlemen, we broke down the offseason outlooks for the Eastern Conference here. Now we can head west and take a look at the other conference, starting at the top with your Phoenix Suns. Not a ton going on this offseason necessarily in terms of actual number of transactions, but of course a fair share of drama in the desert here with Deandre Ayton, and got a little dicey throughout the entire season. They didn't offer him an extension in the last offseason, and so we're like, all right, is Phoenix gonna trade him? Are they gonna pay him? What's the deal with DeAndre Ayton? And whether that kind of weird dynamic affected his play over the course of the season in the playoffs. I think you can make an argument for it. Obviously, we don't know everything that's going on behind the scenes in the locker room and what's going on in DeAndre Ayton's head. But definitely a weird situation, and ton of trade rumors about him to Indiana for Miles Turner, Buddy Hield, depending on what the sign and trade kind of looked like money-wise. And then the Pacers finally offered DeAndre Ayton an offer sheet, 4 years, $133 million. And then everyone was kind of like, all right, now finally Phoenix is forced into action here. Before then, they're kind of just biding their time. But Indiana, pressed the screws to them. And I think somewhat surprisingly, the Suns matched the offer, and now DeAndre Ayton is back in Phoenix. And, the dynamic was weird this past season because they didn't sign him. And now that they have signed him, what is DeAndre Ayton's mindset going into this year? Is it to, prove that he's worth that money, to prove upper management wrong about doubting him in the first place? Or is it like, what the hell, man? What was all this, games we were playing here and you just end up paying me anyway? If I was DeAndre Ayton, I'd be a little confused by that just overall. But the other side, this is a roster that has played in NBA Finals. Didn't lose much. They lost JaVale McGee, Aaron Holiday. But it looks like, hopefully Bismack, Jock Landale can kind of cover what JaVale McGee brought. Not sure they can necessarily. He did play, a decent role for them. But also the return of Dario Saric, I think, will give them the front court depth. And kind of an underrated part of this is Saric, returning from injury. Be kind of interesting to see how he is going forward. Bring in Josh Okogie, kind of a flyer. Not sure how much he'll play. But for all intents and purposes, it's pretty much the same roster. Same cornerstones here with Chris Paul. They extended Devin Booker. So he's going to be around for a long time unless something weird happens. Mikal Bridges. They have, Chris Paul. They're all kind of the core guys are all there. Kind of flirted with a Kevin Durant trade. Whether that's still possible sometime down the road, maybe. Ayton can't get traded for quite some time, especially now without his permission for, I believe, a year. So, he would seem to have been kind of the big piece coming back to Brooklyn. So that can't happen in a while. Even though the Suns, have some assets if they wanted to try and go after big star. Donovan Mitchell doesn't really make sense for them. But if another front court kind of all-star became available, you might have to consider it. Obviously, you have the Cam Johnson piece as well. Whether you'd be willing to move Bridges, who knows? But, I think really they did the number one seed thing. Hopefully, they are now transitioning into, we just got to get to the playoffs. We got to get to the playoffs healthy. We got to be firing on all cylinders at the end of the season. And then, that's when we, kind of buckle down. I was going to say hunker down. Bunker down. And kind of show out. That's the phase they're in now. It seems like many teams go through that where we're going to prove everyone. We're going to get the one seed. Home court matters to us. And then, you kind of do that whole thing. Maybe make the finals. You go deeper in the playoffs and you realize regular season matters, but not to the degree of we're going to, push all of our starters to the limit in the regular season. Like, you'd rather probably be the 3 seed and healthy than 1 seed and everyone's kind of beat up and everyone's, put a lot of mileage on their legs. So hopefully this season, they've got a lot of depth to work with. Talk about Payne, Torrey Craig coming off the bench, Saric coming back, Cam Johnson, obviously. And so, this does not have to be a 60-win team necessarily. You could say, Phoenix be in the mix in the top, have home court advantage, at least the first round. But it's like, let's not kill ourselves to get that 1 seed when what's important is our health, especially with Chris Paul, because you lose him in the playoffs, it's going to be very difficult to win a playoff series against anyone. So we have to monitor that. He's obviously up there in terms of years. And is this kind of a transitional stage where they give Devin Booker even more responsibility? Is he ready to take that step? I think will be a big question. As well as Deandre Ayton. Can Deandre Ayton be more of an offensive weapon outside of Chris Paul, creating for him? Can he start creating his own shot, punishing teams for going small against Phoenix? Another thing to look for going forward. Because that kind of money, 4 for 133, you hope that he would be able to give you a lot more just offensively, kind of in isolation and post-ups, maybe away from the basket. Can he develop a three-pointer or at least, a consistent jump shot? I think the answer is probably it's just a matter of, whether he gets the opportunities, because obviously it's kind of Chris Paul and Devin Booker's show. Another aspect of this is, can Mikal Bridges be more consistent offensively? We know what he brings on the defensive side of the ball, especially in the playoffs, shutting down the opposing team's best player. But can he, consistently give you that 15 to 20 points every night? It hasn't shown that he can do that yet. Again, a guy whose, contract is kicking in. He's going to be getting paid a lot more. Can he, kind of be up to that value offensively? Because if this team's firing on all cylinders, Bridges is hitting shots, Ayton's, giving you another 15, 20 points, Chris Paul's, facilitating, not turning the ball over, and Booker, gives you 30. This team's going to be very difficult to beat in a Western Conference that I think will be competitive, but I don't expect anyone to kind of run away with it. When you look at Memphis and Golden State and Denver, the Clippers, potentially Minnesota, it's all going to be in the mix. Dallas as well. I mean, it's just kind of, you can't identify someone, I think, that's like head and shoulders above anyone else. So as long as you're in there, you're going to be fine. It's just a matter of winning in the playoffs. I think Phoenix has as good a chance as any in terms of the talent that they have and the depth that they have. They're totally constructed to make deep playoff runs consistently. It's just a matter of how much you delegate Chris Paul, how much you work on him in terms of, minute management. And we'll see. I mean, it's exciting to bring back all these guys and see, have another run at it. Just a matter of whether they can bring it all together. Not sure who's favored in the West. I'm going to have to take a look at, there's just so many uncertainties, especially with Denver. Clippers, Kawhi coming back, Jamal Murray coming back, if everyone's healthy. Just going to be a mess. So we'll see if Phoenix can come out on top again as the 1 seed and if that will translate to playoff success going forward. Sure, they're going to be, favorites for most, maybe some people, who knows. But let me know what you think, where Phoenix lands for you in the Western Conference. Love to hear what you have to say. But that's it from me for now. Take care of yourselves. Take it easy. And I'll see you next time.